Thank you. So our agenda tonight is we want to cover a little bit of our No Kings protest that happened on March 28th, give a quick recap and level set on that, and talk about what's next, which is May Day, May 1st, and give a little bit of context and background and how we want to make impact in Marin. And then we're going to hear from a number of speakers in our local community who work with various organizations about how to stay engaged and help build our overall movement. And then finish that up with the Q&A and links that we'll share later. Next slide, please. So just to recap on No Kings and Marin, it was quite successful. We had a multi-distributed approach with 25 locations overall that went live at or near around the same time. And we had 11,000 people participate who came out and protested. That's an 8% growth over what we had over No Kings 2. We also had roving rallies, which had 6 sites throughout, where we had decorated trucks come in and pop up with speakers that gave inspiring speeches. So that was a new element that was added this time around. And we got some considerable news coverage. We got the front of the fold for the Marin IJ and also some coverage on Cron News 4. So overall, if you participated in that, if you went to a site location, you can probably tell that I'm imagining that you experienced a lot of palpable joy that day. We really showed out strong, which was great. And then nationally is even a more inspiring picture. There were over 3,300 locations that had a No Kings protest and over 8 million protesters that came out. And we really broke through with global attention and also received some legacy media coverage. So some of the networks actually reported on this last No Kings, which is quite considerable given that most of the attention that has been spotlighted with No Kings has been through social media coverage and more grassroots, but finally got some legacy media coverage. The National Organization of Indivisible also did some polling, and they said that 32% of the protesters that came out for No Kings were new to protesting. It was their very first protest. That's a significant number. It means our movement is growing and we're breaking through. And in that polling, they also said that if No Kings was a politician, it would be the most popular politician in America. And that's a huge snaps for the No Kings movement. People are paying attention. They're getting motivated. They're getting out there. They're getting inspired. And it takes just everybody showing up to a protest to help build that momentum and break through that awareness and get people galvanized and excited about getting out there and protesting. Next slide, please. So with all of that great momentum, the National Coalition has decided to plug into May Day, which is May 1st, Friday, May 1st. And the question is, okay, so what is May Day? It really has a global roots. It really has global roots. It's rooted in International Workers' Day, and it's all about pro-union and pro-labor movement. So May Day has really been a day about celebrating the worker and unions and ensuring that workers' rights and unions and everything, all of that momentum is supporting and putting workers front and center. For the U.S., that movement has expanded. It's really is about pro-worker and pro-people agenda. However, it's expanded to call out the injustices, the economic injustices of the Trump regime. So this unlawful war that we're currently in, the unlawful ICE raids, all of that funding that has gone to really terrorize Americans, cuts to funding, critical funding like SNAP and healthcare, and also spotlighting the unfairness of our tax code. Tax breaks for the billionaires while working people continue to struggle. So this is what May Day is going to be about for this May Day. Next slide, please. And so the objective is to create some economic disruption, to take this momentum that we have built with No Kings and create a day for a strike, a national strike. And the focus is no work, no school, no shopping. Really demonstrate the power of working people and what working people do for our economy and put a stop on it for the day. And so that can be a little confusing. Like, well, what do you mean? I'm a healthcare worker. I don't feel good about like taking the day off of work, or, a little, you might have a few questions about what exactly no work, no school, no shopping means. So let's talk about it a little bit. Next slide, please. So you might be asking, okay, again, I can't do it all. I'm retired, I don't work anymore, or my kids are grown, they really can't, create disruption by not going to school. I've already cut back on so much shopping. I don't go to Target anymore. Like, those things might be, filling your mind. Like, how can I actually make impact on May Day? And there's a few key ways you can do it. One is you can help spread the word. Just talk to people about May Day and what you're doing about May Day. You can also help promote it through social media, and you can canvass local businesses. You can talk to them about what May Day is, help them, encourage them, think about, putting their workers front and center and helping promote and stand in solidarity with workers. And you can also help promote with banner drops and yard signs. I'll get into that a little bit more in the next slide, but we'll come back to that a little bit more. But for now, we'll also talk about divesting from corporations. I touched about a little bit of that on the previous slide. Again, focus on local shopping, call out corporations who are friendly to the Trump regime or who aren't supporting, workers with unions. You can, I literally called a corporation once and talked to them about how upset I was that they were aligning with some of the Trump ICE tactics. And that was recorded with the customer service line. So you can do things like that, little things that actually make an impact. You can cancel subscriptions and change brands that you have been using for a long time to other brands that are more local. And again, you can take action. You can attend a May Day event, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later, and then support students and support your local organizations, which we'll get into more a little bit later in the presentation. Next slide, please. So what we've done is that we've created an easy to use Marin Day Strike toolkit for you. That includes graphics for social media. It includes a script for canvassing local businesses, as well as printables to print out flyers, and a few other links in there to help you with your May Day action. Again, we will be sharing that at the end of the presentation in your reference doc. So don't worry about that. It's coming to you, but it's really an easy toolkit to help you make an impact on May Day locally. And then if you're interested, you can also help promote it through the Visibility Brigade. We have the local Resist and Defend group who does banner drops on a weekly basis on the overpasses. Those overpass banner drops, which we've all seen, those don't happen magically overnight. There's a whole group of people that go out there and organize and get out there, create those banners, get on those overpasses. They follow safety measures, and they're always in contact with local law enforcement to keep things nice and safe and fully connected. So if you're interested in helping out that team, you can sign up with the Resist and Defend group. And again, that link will be included in the Marin May Day Strike Toolkit. Okay, next slide. All right, and then we also have 2 protest actions planned for May Day itself. We have a sidewalk and signs protest at 2 key commercial hubs planned at peak commuter hours between 3 and 5 p.m. One of those will be at the Tamalpais Drive at Corte Madera near the town center, and the other one will be at the Vintage Oaks near the Vintage Oaks in Novato at Roland and Vintage Way. So you can go to either one of those, take your sign, have your, anti-billionaire messaging on your signs, and go out there and help with creating some visibility. Some people, sometimes people question, like, does the protesting really work? Yes, it works. It creates awareness. It helps inspire people. It gives people hope, and it helps, again, build towards that larger movement. And so that visibility benefits everyone. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So again, staying engaged to build our movement. This is a famous quote by Tip O'Neill, which is all politics is local, and all politics is local. We have a large election happening this year, our midterms, and the No Kings movement itself, that momentum is going to continue to get fueled by you. It'll be continued to get fueled by you and your local involvement here at the local level. Staying engaged between large protest days and helping out our local community, because when we are a stronger Marin County, we are a stronger California. And as that saying goes, as California goes, so goes the nation. And we set ourselves up for success for the midterms, which we'll get into in a few moments. So I will pass the baton over to Lisa Bennett with the Marin Multicultural Center, and she will be speaking about supporting our immigrant communities and the Marin Rapid Response Network. So passing it on over to Lisa.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm the executive director of the Multicultural Center Marin, and the Marin Rapid Response Network is one of our programs. We have evolved from just a hotline to doing a lot more for our community. We're doing intake forms for them to get immediate emergency legal support. We're helping them find money if the family breadwinner has been detained. We're helping with links to housing and childcare and food. And we are doing a lot more accompaniment where someone has an appointment either locally or in the city. We have someone join them at their appointment. We work with all languages, so it doesn't matter if you're not Spanish, English. We have access to many other dialects as well. The main thing is I want to share with you, in the last month, we have 9 Marin residents picked up by ICE, 4 of them at the jail. And so this is becoming increasingly concerning, especially given our sheriff's openness to collaborating with ICE. We're seeing now these arrests at the jail, and we haven't seen them in 6 years. So that's deeply concerning for all of us. Next slide, please. Thank you. So how can you help? Well, I would say the first thing you should do is get trained as a legal observer. It's a 3-hour in-person training, and it's a combination of giving a lot of information and doing some role play so you're ready to be an observer. You go to our website, look for our web page, and then sign up, and you'll get immediate email that gives you access to our upcoming trainings. Once you're trained as an observer, you can do accompaniment for our neighbors if they have an appointment that they need support with. You can become a dispatcher on our hotline if you're bilingual or multilingual. You can do lookouts. So, for example, if we're concerned about a particular location, but right before the Super Bowl, we were doing lookouts at local hotel parking lots to see if any suspicious vehicles were parked there, just to get a sense that they were either here or not. And then we do a lot of community outreach where we show up at events where we are invited to show solidarity for our immigrant community and share more information about what we can do. If you are a lawyer or play one on TV, you can certainly help us with habeas petitions. This is the only way we're getting people released from detention. You need some sort of legal fluency to help with that, and you'll be working directly with our public defender. We are also starting campaigns to fundraise for our families who are often only getting maybe a couple months rent of relief from our county and other agencies, when it usually takes about 6 to 9 months for someone's immigration case to be resolved. And so if they are in detention that long, their family is deeply impacted. And again, we don't have the money to do what we want to do and can do, so we appreciate donations to help support the work we're doing. I think I made it in a couple minutes. How am I doing? Okay, I think I'm here then to next introduce Tammy Edmondson of MV Free. Is that accurate? Awesome. Well, I know Tammy as a fellow warrior in the ICE Marin effort, and I'm really grateful to see her offering her talents and skills and advocacy, merciless advocacy to get ICE out of this county. So with that, my fellow comrade in arms, Tammy Edmondson, thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa, and thank you for everything you're doing. I don't know how you manage. It's heartbreaking work. So I am Tammy Edmondson. I'm a founding member of MV Free, which is one of the, I think, 17 now organizational members of No ICE and Marin Coalition. I'm here to talk about a campaign that the coalition has just launched. We're calling on the Board of Supervisors to adopt an ICE-free ordinance for Marin that's going to protect our community in case of a major ICE assault like those we've seen in Los Angeles, Chicago, and Minneapolis. Next slide. please. Next slide. Thank you. When ICE began deploying heavily armed troops to peaceful communities against the wishes of local elected leaders, cities and counties were not prepared. There had never been a reason to enact laws or policies to defend against those unprecedented federal abuses. Next slide. But now we know better. Since November of last year, communities all across the country have been rushing to enact ICE-free ordinances. These ordinances are designed to cure the significant local vulnerabilities that ICE has been exploiting to carry out these aggressive assaults. This, what you see here, is just a partial list of ICE-free jurisdictions, and as you can see, most took this action in just the past 3 months. So what is it that these communities have done, and what is our proposed ICE-free Marin ordinance planning to do to defend against abusive ICE tactics and advantages? Well, there are 3 primary things. Next slide. First, and I think most importantly, the ICE-free ordinance will bar the use of county resources and personnel for federal immigration enforcement. In the absence of an ICE-free ordinance, ICE comes in and takes over public parks, parking lots, other local government property, and uses it for staging operations and immigrant processing. And they turn to local government workers for information and logistical support like traffic control and communications. The ICE-free ordinance not only forbids all that, it will require county departments to identify property and assets, including information and infrastructure that is at risk of use by immigration authorities. Then the departments have to take appropriate measures to secure the assets against misuse. So that, as you can see from this slide, can include posting signage, but also erecting barriers, installing software. There's a whole host of protections that can be put in place. The ordinance also clarifies the duty of county workers, the most valuable county asset, to refrain from assisting ICE. This will prevent staff from inadvertently assisting ICE, but it will also put an end to the sheriff's practice of voluntarily assisting immigration officials when he is not obligated to do so. Next slide. The second thing the ordinance will do is establish transparency and reporting requirements relating to ICE activities for all county departments. So right now, county workers have no clear policy or process that tells them when, whether, or to whom they should report their observations or interactions with ICE. And the sheriff, again, intentionally conceals his interactions with ICE and provides only the minimum annual disclosures that are required by the State Truth Act. This ordinance will impose a duty on all departments to report ICE activity to the county executive within 24 hours, and it'll create a requirement that the sheriff and chief probation officer issue quarterly public reports on all of their ICE interactions. Next slide. The third thing the ordinance will do is require visible identification and forbid the use of face masks by all law enforcement operating within Marin County. ICE agents typically wear face masks and increasingly are appearing in plain clothes to terrorize residents, confuse local law enforcement, and evade accountability. Next slide. Our Board of Supervisors is sympathetic to immigration issues, but its members have been really reluctant to take official action or even to place the question of the county's cooperation with ICE on a public agenda. They need to hear from every one of us. So I'm going to ask you all, please sign the petition. This will get you on the list to receive the future alerts from the coalition. You can email the board, say adopt the ICE-free ordinance. And if you'd like to receive MV-free newsletters, action alerts, or if you're part of an organization that would like to join the coalition, contact me, Tammy, at the email address listed here. So thank you so much for all of you for coming and doing your good work. And now I guess it's my pleasure to hand it over to Lori Friedman, also of Indivisible Marin, to tell us how we can make a difference in the 2026 midterm elections.
Thank you, Tammy. Yes, I'm Lori. I'm with Indivisible Marin. I'm on the steering committee there, and I've been working in elections and electoral strategy for about 7 or 8 years now. And today I want to talk about winning the midterms, taking back control of Congress, and establishing a check on executive power. It's the major priority for Democrats right now. We'll be doing that as an out-of-area county, and we'll be doing this working in battleground races that are closest to home. And we'll be working to hold our vulnerable incumbent seats and flipping Republicans out. On the House side, we will need to net at least 3 new seats. Here in the Bay Area, we cover 13 and 22. That's in the Central Valley, very familiar districts for most of us. And Southern California will handle 2 very competitive seats down there, 45 and 48. On the Senate side, we would need to net 4 new seats. And while that will be more difficult than the House, it's not impossible. We will be working in places like Georgia and Michigan to hold those seats. And our flip opportunities, the best ones will be North Carolina, Maine, and Ohio, with hopefully some opportunity in Alaska and Texas. The work is now. If we wait until September and October to do it, it's too late. Voters are deciding right now, with everything that's happening in the country, which party they're going to support. And we need to be the ones to reach them first, meet them where they are, have those conversations about the issues that are motivating them, and working towards supporting Democrats. We want to make sure that people vote in primaries. So we do a lot of get out the vote work as we move through primaries, because a primary voter is much more likely to vote in a general election. And then later in the summer, we'll be working around specific candidates as they are elected in the primaries. Here in California, we don't need to talk to Republicans in our districts. We have more than enough Democrats. We just need to get them to the polls. So these are relatively easy and straightforward conversations, just encouraging general voting. We'll do this through postcarding, phone calls, and door visits. These tactics work well. We have lots of research to support them, but in order to reach enough voters to create a larger margin, we need a lot of volunteers. These are districts that are essentially 50-50, and the party that turns out the most number of voters will win. So volunteer turnout will drive that voter turnout. All of the links to sign up for these activities are on our website, including links to join programs, to attend informational workshops that we hold about each one of these tactics, and respond to events and RSVP. Want to touch just a few things, the highlights. On postcarding, we work with Activate America. It's one of the larger and best postcarding organizations in the country. They have a sincere platform where you can sign up and they will email you addresses and scripts for a variety of campaigns. If you want to work locally and in person, we have lots of events. Every Tuesday, Joy Martin will be hosting, for many years has hosted an event at Panera Bread in Novato. And then this month, we're adding back our evening postcarding. Marianne Ross will be hosting that one, and it'll be on the 3rd Tuesday at a brewery on 4th Street in San Rafael. We really encourage everyone to come. These are very welcoming events, and we have new people joining all the time. Currently in postcarding, we're working in Georgia for the Get Out the Vote for their primary. We're going to be moving in May to the California primary work and starting in on Senate races across the country. Phone banking is the most impactful thing you can do from your living room. In California, our phone banks for congressional districts here are coordinated by our state party, KDEM, with a host, the Bay Area Coalition here in the Bay Area, and then other groups in other parts of the state. For us, we will be working with the coalition on a platform called Scale to Win. And this is the way we do phone banking now. It is computerized. You do it on your computer, not on your phone. Your privacy is completely protected and it's very easy, user-friendly. All training is provided within the phone bank itself in small breakout rooms, and it's all done virtually. Our schedule for phone banks right now is on Thursday. That's our territory, the Central Valley. but we will also have some Senate work available also. Canvassing also done through the same partnership. Will be going down on the weekends into 13 and 22, focused on voter registration, deep canvassing, and support. The Mayor Coalition can help you with transportation, lodging, if you want to spend the night there, and food, meals. And they have their own canvassing workshops on Tuesdays. You can sign up for those on their website. I want to turn it over to Jason Saris right now, and he's going to be talking about supporting our unhoused neighbors.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah, I'm Jason. I'm here on behalf of the Marin Compassion Coalition. We are a grassroots organization that advocates for our unhoused neighbors. We advocate for better policies to address homelessness, and we provide mutual aid and also facilitate mutual aid for our unhoused residents. Tonight we'll be talking about permanent supportive housing, call to action, and SNAP benefit change awareness. Next slide, please. Permanent supportive housing. Permanent supportive housing, PSH, through the continuum of care, is subsidized housing funded through HUD for people who have at least one disability and have experienced chronic homelessness. Next slide, please. Recent policy changes in the way HUD funds PSH programs limit funding for PSH to 30%, a drop from about 87%. Right now, there is a lawsuit, one of the many hundreds that are going against the federal government. It is put a pause on HUD tried to change the funding cuts. They did funding cuts midstream through a funding cycle. There's a pause on that right now with the lawsuit, but people have already gotten termination letters for their programs in Marin, and they have not been rescinded since the pause has taken effect. The local impact is over 200 people in Marin are at risk of losing housing, including families and children and seniors. Next slide, please. We're asking for support for the Marin Compassion Coalition to ask the Board of Supervisors to develop a contingency funding plan to help keep these PSH programs operational. We have an online petition you could see in the QR code right here that you could sign. We also are asking for people to email the Board of Supervisors to have them come up with a contingency plan to fill the funding gap with these federal cuts that are coming our way. There's a couple dates that's to be determined yet. We want to get a show of force to the BOS meeting regarding the proposed budget in May and the final budget approval vote in June 20. These are both this year. Next slide, please. SNAP benefit changes, severe policy changes to SNAP eligibility, work volunteer requirements, 20 hours a week, 3 months of benefits per every 3 years. If not work exempt and not meeting requirements, homeless status is no longer an exemption. Changes to these benefits can lead to unmet basic needs, housing instability, and homelessness. And last slide, please. We are doing weekly Sunday dinners at Hamilton Skate Park. Heidi Merchant has been doing hot meals every Sunday for a year and a half, and we're asking for support to help her keep this going. As you can see, her Venmo account is on here. And again, yeah, Sunday dinners, we're really asking if anybody could help support those efforts. And I will pass it back to Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Well, there was a lot of information shared As noted, we will share the Google Doc. I believe Susan has already started to drop that in there. The Google Doc has all of the links to resources that our speakers spoke to this evening. So you can go in there. It also has the Marin Strike Mayday Toolkit. You can click on that and find all of the resources that we mentioned and shared about earlier. So it's a really easy navigation tool for you to reference. And with everything that's been shared tonight, again, engagement and staying engaged to help build momentum towards greater, larger things like the midterms and building a strong grassroots movement here in Marin, really means about plugging into local actions that you can take. And I would ask for everybody here tonight is within the next 48 hours, think of at least two that you can plug into, whether it's signing up to postcard or whether it's signing up for the Visibility Brigade with the Resist and Defend group to do banner drops to help promote May Day, or if you're wanting to plug in and support the Compassion Coalition, or become a legal observer, or supporting MV3 and signing the petition for an ice-free Marin. There's something for everyone, and some of these are very low lift. While others may have a little bit more time commitment, there's something for everyone to plug into that resonates with you. So just think about that. Think about, in the next 48 hours, what can I do? What actions can I take to set myself up and Marin County as a whole up for success in the coming days? And with that, I think we can start the Q&A.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Susan Morgan. I'm also with Indy Marin. There are so many great questions, so I will just be passing them on to the person to whom they were most relevant. So the first question came from Deborah. What are school districts in Marin doing to help the resistance? And I guess Lisa Bennett might have had some insights there. Tammy, feel free to chime in if you do. Another person who was not a speaker but may have some insights is Patty Hoyt of Resist and Defend. So while Tammy's speaking, I'll try to unmute Patty.
I can't speak to that, what the schools are doing in
Okay.
terms of the ice-free resistance. I believe there have been some walkouts, but other than that, I really don't know.
Okay. You know what? Veronica, I'm going to move on to another question. We'll circle back because I know that Patty does have, here you are.
Patty's
Great.
here, and apparently I have the ability to unmute
Oh,
myself.
beautiful.
So I know specifically in terms of school districts overall, they've all gone through the Marin Rapid Response Network training and they all have protocols in place in case of ice appearing. But in terms of proactively working in terms of the resistance beyond that, there are just select schools that have agreed to allowing school patrols. And as someone alluded to, there have been walkouts, but currently Laurel Dell in San Rafael has now organized with various neighbors and parents that they patrol on a consistent basis at drop off and pickup, just to make sure there's nothing untoward. And the hope is that more schools would come online to do that. I know Indivisible Novato has been working with Novato Unified to do that, but at this point, they have not actually activated the school patrols.
Great. And also, the original person who put that question in is saying that she was actually meaning to ask about whether schools are involved with May Day. Do you happen to know, Patty, not to put you on the spot?
I don't know of schools in particular, but I do know that Pat Johnstone with Marin Dems is working with various high schools to organize walkouts. So I wouldn't say it's a school district-led thing, but that I do imagine that many of the high schools in particular will be doing a walkout.
Fabulous info. Great. Next question relates to May Day. I'm going to pass it to Veronica. And it's really a broad question of what really is the goal of May Day. And, I know, Veronica, you covered it, but perhaps if you could just give sort of that high level insight to the overall goal of the May Day actions.
The overall goal of the May Day action is to cause economic disruption. We know to really demonstrate and flex worker power, people power, and demonstrate that, gosh, without us, without regular everyday people, things don't work. And so being able to create that shock point is the idea. And so that it has the impact, be able to like really create that, fire in the air so that people pay attention to what's happening with our larger movement. And so that is the goal. If you work at a corporation, and let's say you're working at a corporation that has been, that has capitulated to Trump, that have, gotten rid of their DEI or whatever, and you're looking at those spreadsheets coming in and you see a big dip in your sales on Friday, May 1st, that sends a big message. And that makes companies very nervous. It makes shareholders very nervous. So the idea is create economic disruption where you are, and let's have a broader impact so that we continue to build that momentum and put workers and affordability and all of that at the center of what's happening right now in the country.
Thank you. Suzanne is asking, how can we encourage and or assist people who protest or honk to join the movement? How do we get more people to be joining and engaged in who we get some indication that they do support? I'll take a quick stab at this question. One of the most influential forms of organizing is sometimes referred to as relational organizing, which is kind of a fancy term for we all need to be individually reaching out to everyone we know, people in our circles, of course, who are aligned politically, and encouraging, sharing information. This meeting, for example, now you're going to be getting a toolkit about May Day. Consider emailing that to your friends or posting it on your personal social media. Consider sharing the links that we're going to share with you, with your friends and your network. And, Act Marin, we haven't had too much of a chance to talk about Act Marin, which is really the Marin-wide body that's organized this call, is a listing of all the groups in Marin, not all, I shouldn't say, many of the groups in Marin. We're hoping to make it all. We need to continue to add to the site. But for now, it's a great start for people who say, I really support what you're doing, but I don't know where to start or how to get involved. Send them to actmarin.org, and they for themselves can scan, the 8, 10, 12 groups here in Marin that are either working on the resistance and protest activity or working on electoral activity and, winning back the midterms. So actmarin.org is a great place to send people. Do any of the other speakers want to chime in on this question?
I will say that we do try to share that QR code on all the placards that we give that sends people to there. But that's all I can add.
Yeah. And I'll just add that it's hard. I mean, all of the organizers on the call, we all essentially work our butts off to get more people to join, more people involved, motivate people to take these actions. It's hard. And so the personal outreach is really highly impactful. That people are much more likely to respond to a friend inviting them to something than getting a an email from an organization. So would love for you all to be doing that as much as you can.
We're not going to endorse a candidate. Most groups won't. People should be free to listen to the next 3 debates, and I'm gathering information about when those will be. They'll all be easily accessible on the internet or on television. It is important that we coalesce around a top candidate. The polls that came out today show that the Trump endorsement did not have an effect, though that's just one poll, and we'll have to see what happens as it goes away. So the fear is that the 2 Republicans would get the top 2 spots, and we would be blocked out of the election. So there's a lot of work going on right now and a lot of opportunity. Jess Craven just had a big thing on it today on her Substack about reaching out to the bottom 4 candidates and asking them to drop out and to endorse another candidate. So that's the most powerful thing that we can do right now. And then really educate ourselves in the next few weeks. The ballots will be mailed out in just a couple of weeks. But there'll be 3 opportunities. The debates are, I just wrote them down. I think it's April 22nd, April 28th, and May 5th. But yes, it's really important if you are worried about this to take action and to reach out to those 4 candidates at the bottom and ask them to drop out. That will help consolidate the Democratic vote around hopefully 1 or 2 people. And mostly Steyer, Porter, and Becerra are the top 3 vote getters in the last poll that came out today.
Yeah, and I'll just add that a very important thing we can all be doing is the get out the vote work for the primary. We should be getting as many Democrats as possible to vote. That's another way that we can, prevent this worst case scenario of the top 2 vote getters being Republicans. I think given all of the I'll use the Yiddish word, all the mishigas with this race, there's a chance that some Democrats are just really disillusioned, right? It's been a lot. So doing the voter outreach work and some of the things that Lori outlined in terms of volunteer for a fund bank as we get close to the primary. There's research that shows that voters who vote and are engaged in a primary are far more likely to vote in a general. So this early voter outreach in advance of the primary is very important and a way we can all contribute beyond just wringing our hands, about the governor's race. As it gets closer and as more polls come out, if it's very clear that there's a top candidate who's polling at the top, and it still seems as if 2 Republicans are strong, we may all need to consider being just pragmatic and going with that top person, whether or not they're our ideal candidate. But it's early to decide that. We have some time to observe. Okay, I'm going to move on to another question, and then I think we should start wrapping up soon. There's been a lot of additional questions since we started the Q&A. Let's see. Let me see if I can capture some of these. Bear with me for a minute. So Veronica, to you, is there a way to quantify the results of the May Day protest? This person, also Janine again, says that many of her friends are skeptical about this kind of action having any effect. So wondering, it's a tough question, but wondering if you have any thoughts, Veronica, on quantifying results.
Quantifying the May Day protest or quantifying?
Yes, May Day.
Well, we won't be able to quantify it until we have it. So
right. Right.
And
are there plans toward that, I guess, is the question.
Well, one of the ways that we can quantify the protests themselves, at least here locally, is through our registration form. People do register through Mobilize to attend. Additionally, we always get folks who haven't registered and they show up to attend the protests. I think maybe that question is wondering about how to quantify like a general strike or the like a day of just no shopping and no um no work and what have you. It's difficult to quantify that. I mean, what we will, it's there's no aggregate out there that's going to report in, we lost this amount of sales or, so it's a little bit more difficult to quantify that. I lean toward what we do locally because we are able to kind of assess our engagement locally. And then we typically work with or pay attention to and align with Indivisible National and the national coalitions who are able themselves to do some polling. They're able to kind of assess post-event what the general impact is, and we take that information from them as well. Someone's information is on, but again, we're able to kind of do head counts for the actual protests for measuring sort of like what the overall impact will be locally. It'll just be like a laddering up of pieces of information that we're able to get from local organizers.
Right. And I just would like to add as sort of a dose of realism in this idea. We all want to quantify, right? We want hard proof that if we're working on something, there's some proof that, but in this crazy environment and things moving so quickly, it's just not always possible. We all should, with our own minds and hearts, consider what we feel are the most impactful ways for us to act and know that collectively we are moving the needle. It's not always something we're going to be able to put into a bar chart, but over time, it's clear the No Kings movement has gained so much traction. It's almost become now a brand name that, the media and members of Congress refer to as No Kings. I mean, we've done that. So sometimes we just have to do what we know is right and have faith that collectively we are having an impact, even if it's not measurable.
And I will say one thing as a person with a marketing background, the 8 million plus people that came out for No Kings on March 28th, to quantify that, if a brand were to invest in a campaign to connect with 8 million people, that is tens of millions of dollars in value. And so when you think about it in that term, we are, to Susan's point, building a big brand that is driving a larger movement, and it begins with every individual deciding to opt in.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to make the call that this has been a lot of information, a lot of questions. You guys now have the websites to contact various organizations with any additional questions you have. I know all of us welcome emails and questions from volunteers who are asking what more can I do? How can I be most impactful? And really, the main thing is staying active, staying engaged. I do worry a little bit with the No Kings that some people feel like, oh, I went to this No Kings, and then when's the next No Kings? And I'll go to that, and nothing in between. And really, for us to be having impact, we all need to start thinking about what we can be doing, if not daily, weekly, and it varies by person. Some of us are retired, some are not. Some of us have children still in the household, some don't. So we all have different amounts of bandwidth, but only you can look at what bandwidth you have and then try to think of how to allocate that time on a consistent basis. If it's 1 hour a week, great. If it's 3 hours a week, great. But try to have that consistency, like going to the gym or something. You just want to stay active on a regular basis. That's really how we're going to move the needle. And with that soapbox comment, I'm going to turn it back to Veronica for any closing comments she'd like to make.
Again, thank you everyone for coming, and hopefully you are taking away something that, again, you can act on. To Susan's point, there are a number of key things that you could do that are just really quick. Sign the petitions. You know, talk to somebody about May Day and say, hey, I'm going to be canvassing my local business and asking them to put up solidarity signs in their windows, and considering closing for the day. So it takes all of those conversations, those one-to-one conversations, to galvanize people locally. And believe it or not, you inspire people when your friends and neighbors know that you're going to a protest, or that you are, oh, I can't do that, I'm going to be doing some postcarding for the upcoming election. You actually are more influential and inspiring to people than you may realize. So keep doing what you're doing and keep encouraging others to join you. Turn it into a potluck, make it a party. You know, we need community right now. We're living in scary times, but there is hope and there's positive things happening. Look what just happened in Hungary. And Viktor Orban getting booted out after 16 years of authoritarianism. And I don't want to live, we've already lived with the havoc of a Trump regime for 10 years on and off over the past decade. I don't want to keep going under this. I don't know about you. So keep inspiring others and keep showing up. Thank you, everyone. That's it. Good night.